All right. So, what exactly is this Minnesota team? And statistically, they're 15th in total defense, which I'm starting with the defense just because it has been the calling card as of late in terms of the last few years. So, but they are 15th in total defense, allowing 338.6 yards per game. They're 14th in third down percentage at 37%. Fifth in points per game, allowed at 18.6. They are sixth in rush defense, allowing 94.2 yards a game. They're tied 11th in yards per carry at 4.1. They are tied for first in allowing 20 plus yard runs with only two of them, and seventh in 40 plus yard runs with one of them. They are, however, 19th in pass defense, allowing 244.5 yards a game through the air. Seventh in sacks, though, with 31. They are tied for 25th in 20-plus yard plays allowed with 40 of them, and 14th in 40-plus yards plays allowed with 6. And they are 18th in quarterback rating allowed at 90.9. Now, offensively, they are ninth in total offense, 378.6. They are ninth in third down percentage at 44%, and they are eighth in points per game allowed points per game gained at 26.3. They are third in rush offense at 142.5, tied seventh in yards per carry at 4.6. They are tied for second in 20 plus yard runs with 12 of them, and they are tied for ninth with 40 plus yards runs with 2. They are tied second in touchdowns on the ground with 14, and they are the 16th pass offense at 236.2. They are tied for fourth in 20 plus yard pass plays with 42 of them, and they are tied for seventh in 40 plus yard passing plays with 8. They are second in quarterback rating at 114.8, and they are tied for 11th in sacks with 22. So those are all the main stats I thought we should probably go over. And I'm sorry if I spoke too fast on some, but that's just how it is. People who are not new to this channel know I like numbers, and that's a lot of them. But I find it interesting because this has always been a defensive team since Zimmer has kind of shown up in Minnesota. And I think things may have changed here. I think this is now an offensive team, as well. The yardage says they're a better offensive team with, they're ninth, and then they're 15th in total defense. So there's also that. And they only allow 18.6 points per game, though. They allow a ton of yards, but they're only allowing 18.6 points per game, which is crucial because this is only telling me this is very much a bend, don't break defense now, which is something we haven't seen in the last 2, 3, even 4 years. This defense has been very good over that span. Now it's turned, as these guys get older, they lose a step or two, and all of a sudden it's bend, don't break instead of smother, smother, smother. And it's interesting because a lot of this is uncharacteristic, of course, like allowing the big plays. And I do think a lot of this actually has to do with the secondary getting older. But it's just weird how it's kind of really transitioned to this, because we always question Kirk Cousins in this offense. Can the offense get it done? Can you put up just enough points? I don't think that's any, that's not the question now. And because that defense has been the bigger issue this year. And currently they do possess one of the most explosive offenses in the entire league, because it's not just running the ball, where they do once again have the second most 20 plus yard rushing plays, and they also have the ninth most 40 plus yard rushing plays, but they also have the fourth most 20 plus yard passing plays and the seventh most 40 plus yard passing plays. So it's kind of interesting how this is kind of worked out, where now we're allowing more big plays, but we are also getting a lot more. And I'm thinking this can only get better offensively, just because, well, you don't have Thielen back, because most of this has been done without Adam Thielen, because he got hurt in the beginning of week 7, and this didn't really start getting turned around until week 5. So you had Thielen for 2 of these games, and then all of a sudden it ramped up. Well, I guess it kind of ramped up in those other 2 games too, but you guys know what I mean. Most of this has been done without Adam Thielen, which some will argue is the better receiver between the two of him and Diggs. So there is that. And I'm thinking at this point we might have to kind of get off the backs of Cousins, Stefanski, and Kubiak, since they have been the most consistent part about this team. We've had good quarterback play for the most part. Our running back has been really good, as most of you would know. And I feel like Diggs is still Diggs. And for the most part, this offense is what makes this team go now. And the real issue is this defense is regressing, and it is old. And I don't think we can get away from that. We knew this would be happening at some point. We didn't know when the real regression would hit, and here we are. I feel like the real regression has hit, where it doesn't really go well when this happens. But they do have a chance this offseason to move on from some of these guys, and I do anticipate some changes. That can be a different video for a different time, but that could be due to performance and or money. And generally, I think this is kind of what's happening to the defense, because a lot of the plays I think we're seeing is in the back end, they're older and they can't really keep up as well. Specifically, Xavier Rhodes. I feel like Waynes is still kind of just Waynes. Mike Hughes, some people jump on him. I kind of want to see some more from Mike Hughes as well, but at the same time, he is coming off a torn ACL from last October, I believe. So it generally takes them one more season. So until, I guess, his year 3, we don't really see what prompted them to draft him in the first round, because I don't think I was always that high on Mike Hughes anyway, just before we even drafted him. But a lot of his things involve change of direction and just overall athleticism, which is a problem when you tear an ACL. So I don't really expect to see him take any strides this year. I'm expecting next year to see some of those strides. And so he's going to be kind of a part of this problem this year. And obviously Rhodes is, I don't want to say completely done, but he certainly doesn't deserve that salary. He's regressed to the mean. He's definitely a lot more average now, and he doesn't earn that contract anymore, which is going to be a problem come the offseason. But I don't think he's necessarily as hot garbage as some people make him out to be, because he's still a physical corner that can match up with some of those bigger guys. But at the same time, he is not what he used to be, and he is becoming more of a liability just because of how, well, they don't always match him up on the right guy. But that is what it is. And I think this year, this is an offensive team that will go as far as Cousins, Cook, Diggs, and Thielen will take them, along with Stefanski and Kubiak up there in the whole play design area. And they just need to have a good red zone defense do its job, which at times will have to involve some luck. Denver, because you can argue some of those plays at the end there might have had pass interference, and I know some Denver fans would definitely argue that, more specifically on the Trey Waynes one. But at the same time, I think the red zone defense is still good, just because you can't get burned for 25 yards when you're only, got 15 yards to cover. And so I think we need to start focusing on how many points are they allowing, and not really get caught up in all the yards. Because if they're holding them to 3, I have confidence in our offense here to kind of make up for that. And I don't know what you guys are confident about in terms of this team, but I feel like I'm at least confident in knowing they will make adjustments at the half to make them stop scoring points, which we've seen this year. Even like obviously Denver only scored 3 points in the second half. We go back to Green Bay, they scored 21, I think, in like the first quarter or a little bit into the second quarter. They got that last one, but after that, they just were completely knocked out. So I still think they can hold teams to lower points, which is good. But it's just interesting to see how this has flipped. And yeah, I would like to know your comments down below, thoughts, stuff like this. I'm just thinking this is an offensive team now, which is kind of weird to think about. But yeah, comments, liking, subscribing, all the good stuff. You know how it is. Anyway, till next time, I bid y'all adieu.